Hi, it's Amanda, the Nail Polish Hound, and today I'm going to be doing a live swatch and review for you of the new China Glaze summer collection, Havana Nights. Starting off with the swatch and review portion of this, and then I'm going to be moving on to doing some dupe-like comparisons and maybe a few destashes. We'll have to wait and see. So first of all, we've got Tropic Like It's Hot. This is the neon yellow, which does seem to have a bit of a hint of green in it. This really is like your classic neon yellow highlighter colour. It has a really good formula for a yellow polish and it goes on pretty smoothly, but as you can see I'm having a little bit of trouble with the polish flooding my cuticles a bit, and I'll talk about that a bit later. But here you are, a way of cleaning that up with a little wooden stick, and you can get the worst of it off and just clean the rest off with a thin brush dipped in nail polish remover. And here we are with the second coat going on. You see that I have got a little bit too much on the brush. Again, I'm going to talk to you a bit more about that later on and ways to get around it. So there you have Tropic Like It's Hot in 2 coats with a top coat. Next we have the orange of the collection. It's called Takes 2 to Mango, and it does have a little bit of a shimmer in it as well, as you can see in the bottle there. This one has a bit of a thicker formula, but it does go on the nail reasonably well, but does take 2 coats to build up to fuller opacity. Here it is on the nail with 2 coats and a top coat, and you can really see that little shimmer sparkling through. It's a very pretty one, this one, a little bit different from all the others. Next I'm going to show you the purple of the collection. This is called Left My Heart in Havana. This is a really nice formula to work with. I think this one could end up being a 1-coater, but I did apply it quite carefully, trying to make sure that I wasn't going to flood the cuticles at all, so it did need 2 coats for full opacity, and I still managed to get a little bit on the side wall of my finger there, so again we've just got a little bit of clean up to do. And here we are with the second coat of I Left My Heart in Havana. This one could be opaque in just the 1 coat, but 2 coats will give you a better and longer lasting finish on the nail anyway. So this is 2 coats of Left My Heart in Havana with a top coat. Now we're on to the blue of the collection. It is probably leaning towards teal slightly. It is the one that's on my nails in this video, and it's called Cuba Diving. And I just wanted to show you the brush, particularly the one in this bottle for me was a little bit twisted and rounded, and you can see the problem there with the stems on the China Glaze bottles, that the polish does tend to run down them. So I found the best way to get around this is to twirl the brush in the bottle before you take it out, and then give the brush itself a good wipe. Even then you can see it is tending to drip down the stem of the brush a little bit, and you have to keep an eye on it. Once you've got it so it's not dripping, then you can just dip the brush back into the bottle and take a little bit onto the brush itself. So that's a way that can help you to get around these polishes that do tend to drip a bit down the stem of the brush. So then moving on to the application of this one, as I said, I got a bit of a weird brush. It was a little bit twisted. None of the others were like that, so if anybody knows of a good replacement brush for China Glaze polishes, I prefer the sort of mid-size paddle. So if you know of a brush that will fit into these bottles, please let me know in the comments below. And then we're moving on to the second coat for this one. As you can see, the first coat was a tiny bit streaky, so it really does need the 2 coats. So here is Cuba Diving on the nails in 2 coats with a top coat. I did wear this one for about 4 days and I suspected it might be a stainer, so I did double up on the base coat on my swatching hand, and I had no staining on that hand, but I didn't double up on the other hand and it did stain my nails a little bit. So if you have got this one, then I would recommend 2 layers of base coat to protect your natural nails. Second to last one in this collection that I'm showing you is the pink neon, and it's called Guava Mama. This one actually had one of the better formulas and more easy to control, and it goes on nice and smoothly in 2 coats. As you can see, the brush that I have on this one does spread out a little bit better, a little bit wider as you apply the polish, so it is a bit easier to get to the edge of the nails without too much of a mess. Here we go with the second coat, and as you can see it does go on quite well. It does self-level and it's easily opaque in just 2 coats. The really nice thing about these polishes as well is that you don't need a white base coat for them, which you did need to do with a lot of the older neon polishes. So here you have Guava Mama in 2 coats with a top coat. The last one in this collection is Head to Mojitos, and it is the green, and it's the least neon looking one of the collection, but it does glow under black light, so it does still definitely have that neon pigment in it. It's just not such a bright colour. This one really does remind me of the green colour that you used to get in a crayon packet, the one that was meant to represent grass. I'm not a big fan of green nail polish, and I'm not a big fan of this colour either, but that's just my personal preference. The polish itself is fine, but it was the only one of this collection that I needed 3 coats for to become fully opaque. So I had a little look into my relatively small collection of neon polishes to see if I had any dupes for these new releases, and the first ones that I'm going to look at are the pinks that I had that were the closest. The first one is Rose Among Thorns by China Glaze. As you can see, it is a lot darker and more orange in colour, so no dupe there. And then we have Under the Boardwalk by Wicked Polish. This one's separated a bit, but it was fine when I shook it up. And you got a little bit of a shimmer in this one, but it's also quite muted and a lot darker in colour, so no dupes there either. I had 2 other orange neons in my collection. The first one is also by China Glaze, and this one is called Pool Party. And this one isn't going to be a dupe. You've got the new China Glaze on the right side and Pool Party on the left, and as you can see, Pool Party is quite a lot deeper in colour. Then we have Beach Baby by Wicked Polish. This is a lot closer in colour, but a bit more tangerine and a bit more muted, but it does have that same sort of shimmer that Takes Two to Mango has, so it's similar from that point of view, but not a dupe. Moving on to the yellows, I had more yellow polishes that were closer. So you've got the new China Glaze on the left and the other one's on the right here. And the first one that I thought could be a dupe is Celtic Sun by China Glaze. This is a very old polish, is well known for being a difficult formula to work with. It does take 3 to 4 coats to build it up, and even then it's not fully opaque. And as you can see, with Celtic Sun on the left against the new China Glaze, the new one is a brighter colour, even though that's only in the 2 coats. Next we have Itsy Bitsy Teeny Weeny by Wicked Polish, and this one was closer, but I am having problems with the formula on this polish. You can see it's a little bit ridgy on the swatch on the left there, so it's quite close in colour to the new China Glaze though, except it does have a little bit of a shimmer in it. And the last one that I pulled out to do a comparison with is a Mini by Pretty Perfect Polish, which does have fine holographic scattered particles in it. So not a dupe, but I wanted to compare it for the base colour. Then I had a look to see if I had anything similar to Cuba Diving, and I found this polish by China Glaze. It's called Rain Dance the Night Away. And it's been a favourite of mine for a long time. It's quite an old polish. As you can see, it's not quite a dupe. It's not as bright as the new one, and has a little bit more green in it. I didn't really have anything close to the green in my collection. Here is the best that I had, which is a stamping polish by Moyu, which is kind of halfway between Cuba Diving and Head to Mojitos, but definitely not going to be a dupe, so I didn't even bother doing a swatch to compare this one. Finally, moving on to the polishes in my collection that were closest to Left My Heart in Havana, the purple, and keep watching to the end to see if I'm going to destash any of these polishes. First of all, we have got Native Purple by Barry M, and this one's pretty close but a little bit more muted. It isn't a neon, but the colour's quite close. And then we have got Babina by Sinful Colours, which again isn't a neon polish, but was similar in colour, a little bit darker though, so no dupes here either. I'm going to destash Celtic Sun because Tropic Like It's Hot is close enough and has a much better formula, and I'm also going to destash Head to Mojitos from the new collection, as I just really don't like that kind of shade. And I'm putting Under the Boardwalk by Wicked Polish into my pending destash pile. It just looks a little bit dull compared to the other neon pinks that I now have, but going to give it a wear and see whether I keep it or not. So why not have a look at some of my other collection videos? I've linked them here in the cards. See you there.